and spend more taxpayers' money. And, Mr. Speaker, it was this government that decided to keep going in July when he wanted to stay in lockdown. We kept going over Christmas and New Year. And by the way, Mr. Speaker, it occurs to me that we also were able to use those Brexit freedoms to deliver the fastest booster roll and the fastest vaccine roll. Yes, Mr. Speaker, when he not only voted 48 times to go back into the EU, yes he did, but he also voted to stay in the European Medicines Agency, Mr. Speaker. And our plan for jobs is working, Mr. Speaker. We have record low youth unemployment. Our plan for the NHS and care is working, Mr. Speaker. They have no plan at all, Mr. Speaker. Our plan for the country is working. We have a great vision, Mr. Speaker, to unite and level up across our country. They have no plan whatever, Mr. Speaker. And I say to him, plan beats no plan. We have a great plan for our country. They play politics.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The government's £9 billion support to help with rising energy bills is most welcome. But will the Prime Minister assure the people of Anglesey and beyond that it's full steam ahead for new nuclear like Wilbur knoweth, and that this government is moving at pace on the Future Nuclear Enabling Fund so that the UK has energy security, jobs and investment right here on these shores?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I think I was only last week that I was congratulating her, or maybe it was a couple of weeks ago, on her fantastic advocacy for nuclear in Ismon. And don't forget, Mr. Speaker, that Labour allowed nuclear capacity to decline by 11% on their watch. I don't think maybe you've forgotten that, Mr. Speaker. We want to get back up there, and that's why there will be at least one big nuclear project this Parliament, at least one, and our nuclear financing bill will support that objective.
Leader of the SNP, Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure you and the entire House will want to join me in welcoming the Remembering Srebrenica campaign that launched their yearly events in Parliament last night, and we all must continue to strive for ongoing peace in Bosnia. Mr. Speaker, the flurry of changes in Downing Street over the last few days is a sight to behold. It's amazing how much energy this Prime Minister can sum up when it comes to saving his own skin. But whilst he's been busy rearranging the deck chairs, in the real world, people continue to be punished by the Tory cost of living crisis. Yesterday, Open Democracy found that as a direct result of the Chancellor's national insurance hike, nurses will, on average, take a £275 year pay cut in April. That pay cut will hit at the very same moment that soaring energy bills land, bills that have shot up £1,000 in the space of a year. It is a bill they and the rest of the public simply can't afford. So rather than the Prime Minister and the Chancellor scrapping over the Tory leadership, will they do something useful and scrap their regressive hike in national insurance?
Mr. Speaker, actually, it was interesting that the gentleman opposite didn't mention that, because I think everybody can see how vital this is. We have to clear our COVID backlogs, Mr. Speaker. We have 6 million people already on the waiting list. I'm afraid that will go up. And we need to be recruiting the staff now. That's why we're recruiting 50,000 more nurses. There are 11,000 more this year than there were last year. And to his point, Mr. Speaker, we've increased the starting salary for nurses by 12.8%, in addition to the bursaries and other help that we give them. We value our nurses, we love our NHS, and we're paying for it.
Ian Blackford.
Well, actions speak louder than words, Mr. Speaker, and if he wants to reward the nurses, then he needs to pay them. They are the very backbone of the National Health Service, the very people that he's hitting with the pay cut in April. And I shouldn't have to remind the Prime Minister that at the same time that those nurses were going into work every day to fight a pandemic, 16 different parties were happening in his government. The public know what nurses sacrificed during the pandemic, and they know exactly what this rule-breaking Prime Minister and his government were up to. So are the Prime Minister and his Chancellor seriously telling those nurses that the reward for seeing us through the pandemic is a £270 wage cut.
Mr. Speaker, what we're telling the people of this country now, what fantastic nurses is, we back them all the way. And what they want is more nurses, Mr. Speaker. That's why there are record numbers in training. That's why we have 11,000 more in the NHS now this year than there were last year, Mr. Speaker. And those, I think, are fantastic investments in our country and our society. And I must say that I think it's peculiar that, as I understand it, the Scottish Nationalist Party's approach to healthcare is now to cut off the bottom of doors in schools in Scotland in order to improve ventilation.